Hey everybody, today we are talking about sleep science and what's in the news. Now, this one's a little different. So usually the in the news segments, we're kicking back, having a little coffee, we're talking about what's the latest out there, what are people saying, and what our thoughts on that are, whether they are good, bad, or otherwise.
Sure.
This one kind of gives a behind the scenes. So we let Sean run amok and say, go find a sleep science study.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And which he did, and said, well, here it is. And we kind of looked at it and said, well, what are people going to think about this,
This
right?
might be a little dry. It might be a little too science-y.
But here's the deal. It's not. It's really great. And what you're going to gain from this, if you're into kind of the scientific stuff, you're going to love it. And if you're not, and you think that's a little dry, you're going to gain, hang with us. Because we thought this was going to be a long video, and it ended up being a little shorter than what we thought. So the information is really good. I thought it was pretty cool. And you're going to kind of see how we read through these, how we define what we're going to grab out of it, and then give back to you guys, give back to my patients, his clients. And this kind of gives the initial setup when we're looking at these articles
Of how we do our deep dives.
right, on how we do that. So so check this out. So what who are we?
Oh, we're the FitHealth Pros, folks.
Yes, we are. That's Coach Sean.
That's Dr. Kevin Fox.
Nice. So nice to meet you guys. Welcome. We've done lots of videos, so check out the other ones. So what's this one about? What can our sleep say about us? So all kinds of experiments have been done already. They delve into bad, good, better, what's the best sleep, looking at patterns, practices, how each can define the output and attitudes while we're sleeping. So today we're going to look at how much our sleep can directly pinpoint our level of risk seeking, or how risk averse we are, and its effect on our lives. And I think when you look at this, since we sleep a big percentage of our lives,
Right.
that was the key about this was, wow, you can make these changes through something so impactful with something that we do and everybody has to do, at least 6 to 7 hours
You would
every
hope.
single day, right?
Yes.
So
One would hope.
yes.
So let's dive into the article. The article of the day is called Our Sleep Shows How Risk-Seeking We Are. And it's from Science Daily. Now, this was based on an experiment done by the University of Bern in Switzerland. And this article is actually an abstract of an experiment covered in the scientific journal NeuroImage. So what it does is it goes into an experiment and it breaks it down into more bite-sized pieces so that people can kind of get exactly what they were doing and why and what the findings were, etc., in a smaller article. So this one covered specific brainwave activity during sleep that can help define an individual's risk-seeking propensity. See, I had a lot of tongue twisters in this one because I thought he was going to be doing this.
Right.
And
He always gets me. I switched them up.
Switch me up, but I nailed it.
Right. So I did have a question on this one. Did it say how many participants in the sleep study?
Yes. Yep.
You recall?
Yep. We're actually going to go into that soon.
Oh, that's right.
The study.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to go into the study in a little bit.
I guess it did. All right.
And it basically breaks down how many were in the study, the type of sleepers they normally are, things like that. So we're going to jump into that shortly.
All right. Sorry about that. Why is this important? So our everyday lives are filled with risk. So whether it's road traffic, personal or business finance, even sexual behavior, as individuals we can be more aggressive sometimes and we can be more averse at other times. So you can kind of visualize what type of risky behaviors are out there, and some people may think, geez, why is this person jumping off of cliffs and doing these things that I would never do?
And other people that stay home all day.
Yeah. Well, the propensity for risk it really does vary from each individual. So one individual to another, and it can have considerable consequences. So whether it's financial or bad for our health or even death, right? So sometimes it's good to have risks, Other times it's not good to have those risks. So it does ask a big question on, how is that tied into our sleep behavior?
Yep. And where are our controls? Can we control our level of risk?
Yeah,
And that's huge. That's huge. So the study itself, it was looking for the depth of sleep quality. So greater amounts of slow waves, brain waves during sleep, over the right prefrontal cortex meant that you had a little bit more control. They used 54 good sleepers, so there's that number we're talking about. So these are people that got basically 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night.
Right.
They utilized 64 scalp electrodes on each of these people, and they slept in a familiar environment. So they would actually take all of their stuff, take it over to a person's house, so they're nice and comfortable, and we get basically what they're actually going through every night that they sleep. And then they measure those slow waves. After they got that data, they kind of linked them up with a video game. Utilizing a video game to measure risk. There was real money given out the further they went in this game. Say they would drive in crazy situations, and the further they went, more money, real money, was being tallied until all of a sudden a wall came up, they crashed, they lost everything. So the riskier people, of course, went until they hit the wall. And then we kind of measured how risk-seeking each person was, and then kind of used that data, put it up against the slow wave data that they got from the sleep.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. So the reason I asked that question on how many people were in the study, so 54, I know this because of chiropractic. I went to a school that did a lot of research studies, and a lot of times we would have 10 people in a study. Sometimes we'd have 300 people in a study.
Right.
So obviously the more people in a study you can have, the better. But most of the time when these research groups get together at these universities, it's hard to find more than 100
subjects.
Yeah, because they don't fit the parameters or they won't do it, and it's just hard. So 54 actually is a pretty good number. I'd like it to see it closer to 100.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that's a pretty good study. So that's just a little heads up on how
what we're
look
looking at. That's how we're looking at it.
Because if it's a study, I look at a lot of studies with pharmaceuticals or nutraceuticals, whether this vitamin C does that, or, through COVID, what did this do that? And it's like, how many were in the study?
You can get thousands.
Yeah, you have 8,
Right.
If it's got 8 people in the study, it's
then
like...
causality,
you may...
when you only have 8 people?
read through real quick, and it's kind of like, well, all right, maybe this isn't...
It could infer, but it couldn't necessarily lock down causality.
Right. So that's a little background information on how these guys do the studies. So what were the findings? This is cool. Participants with lower slow wave activity had a greater propensity for risk. Okay, so sleep duration had no effect, so it didn't matter how long, but the quality of sleep was most important. So what's that mean? Well, people who have good quality sleep then have lower slow wave activity, right? Yeah. So that's...
A greater slow wave activity.
Oh, there you go. Yes. So,
but they could be more risk averse or more controlled with their risk. They weren't as risk seeking.
So what that did is it showed that the findings can be incorporated into targeted interventions. Did it say what the interventions may be?
No, they're in process.
Okay.
But they're utilizing the data from this specific study for possible interventions in the future.
Right. And so that's another...
Again, we're looking for causality.
Right.
We're looking for different things that they could put into therapeutic help.
Right. And so before they go and fulfill all of those things, they do have to figure out, well, number one, does it work? Does one affect the other?
Is it worth putting the extra man hours into creating therapeutic devices?
So it is. So more sleep research, well, hold on, let me say that again. So more sleep researchers have used this data to drive new techniques for specifically modulating slow waves. So that's a key there, because you're not just going to go, oh, well, we just need to make the environment better or whatever. We want we want to modulate slow waves, and then I guess you can backward
Whatever we
engineer
can do
that. Yeah.
to
So-
get better slow wave
Yeah.
could help those people that are having issues with
Well-
their risky behavior.
Yeah, and we're
You know,
talking
whatever that could be.
Yeah, I mean, and think about the risky behaviors that can be unhealthy, risky behaviors that can be bad for relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, a risky behavior like starting a business, or that's some of those are on the healthier end. It's good to have kind of some of that risk and some of that
Right.
stress. That's what keeps us
But
going.
if somebody constantly drives their businesses into the ground and makes financially risky decisions
Right.
that bankrupt them over and over and over again.
Right. And this can be, from a chiropractic standpoint, from a natural standpoint, this is fantastic because we're trying to figure out some techniques out there that can modulate those brain waves that are more on the natural side.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
who knows? They may do some pharmaceutical thing too, but I'm hoping that this is to maybe come up with things. Maybe they'll do a research on does sounds in the room environment. We talk about that in our other sleep videos.
Sure.
Does the darkness affect those slow waves? So there's a lot of things
The
that this
pillow,
study
the bed.
can. Yeah, you can just take it the next step further. It's like this is just their environment. How about we start changing the environment and seeing what happens? So there's a lot of questions there. So that's the kind of thing that goes through our heads when we read this.
And where we go on to the next experiment, the next experiment, the next experiment. It kind of this percolates the drive to do the deep dive.
Yep.
So
So that's it.
I mean, that's basically what today's was. We pulled back the curtain a little bit on how we help our clients, how we hope to help you. We do a lot of deep dives. If you have questions on anything, please just go ahead and put it in the comments section or get a hold of us somehow and let us know that you have some questions and we will target a deep dive for you.
Absolutely.
We are the FitHealth Pros. I'm Coach Sean.
And I'm Dr. Kevin.
And please subscribe, like,
Ring the bell.
comment, ring the bell, get notified when our next video comes out, and we're here for you.
Yeah. Keep watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, y'all. He's dancing with the camera.
Oh my gosh. He's ready now.
I think so.